Okay, welcome. I'm Coach Fiona Rose, and this is Lauren. Woohoo!
Hi.
And welcome to this Body Bliss interview. We are blessed to have her in our presence today. We are going to talk about some really awesome things, some deeper things. So please join the conversation and let us know if you like it. You can subscribe, and share. All right, so let's start out. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Lauren, please, and tell us about your business as well.
Great. So I'm Lauryn Hill, and my business is called Curated Splash, and I'm a career coach for creatives. So I help creatives align with their purpose and make money doing what they love. And that's really, there's kind of two areas that I help people with. Kind of the area where someone's really wanting a big career change, or they're starting a new business or have like a side business that they need help on. And I just help guide them, and we create strategy, clarity, and confidence so that they can move in the direction that their big vision is in.
I love that so much. That's great. Yay. And can I ask too, like, what really got you into creating this business? Like, what was that spark?
Yeah. Well, it's quite a few things, but definitely my healing journey. But also, I feel like it started back as a kid. One of my first businesses was making greeting cards, and I called it Hillmark. So, because my last name is Hill, and Hallmark was, like a big thing back then.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to make a greeting card company called Hillmark. And I actually studied illustration in college. I've always been an artist. And even at a young age, I feel like I was just so devoted to like spreading joy and happiness through art. And so that was, I feel like, the spark that has like led me to where I am now. But another major part of me kind of realizing like what my mission was in this lifetime was thinking back to after I graduated college, and I actually studied illustration in college. So I graduated in 2009 when the economy was like horrible. And after living in the Bay Area, I moved back in with my parents in Napa. And I just like didn't know what to do with myself. And I was looking for a job anywhere. And I was like, okay, I really want to be in the arts, but like, how am I going to create this job? So I actually became my own career coach at that time. I even have a journal that I made at the time that had all this like information that I looked up and was like, how to find a job, how to put yourself out there, and like how to call in your purpose and things. And I ended up I interviewed for quite a few places, but there was this Craigslist ad for this gallery, and it was an interning position for free. And I just answered. I was like, you know what, like maybe this will be good experience or something. So I ended up following that kind of ping to follow up, and that ended up leading to like a long-term job with them. And I had no experience, but I ended up staying there for 6 years and selling like $4 million worth of artwork. So yeah, so that was kind of like the push, the spark of like into career coaching. And then I've had a few different careers along the way before I got into my own business, but that's really kind of like how it all started.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it's so funny. I think most of us can relate that as business owners, we don't even normally think of it as a business at first. It's normally something we are personally developing, right? And working on. And then we get to a point where we're like, oh, other people could, do something with this. And we see the value, and then it creates from there. It sort of organically creates through us, I feel like. So
For sure. And I feel like it's also like the process, maybe this isn't for everyone, but like a lot of business owners, it's almost like you're needing to do it for yourself first. And like that was really what it was, like this thing that I needed back then, and that I needed multiple times in my life. Like I wish I could have been coached on the things that I coach on. I have hired coaches later in my life, but back then I even feel like it would have been really amazing to have someone there guiding me along the way to like propel me even faster and farther into where I wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing. It's an honor to have you here. I love your energy. And I also love, I want to say too, your the whole energy of what you create in your business. I love the colors. I love the creativity. It's very unique. It's very you. And I think that's really inspiring to other women too, because a lot of times we think we have to be cookie cutter, right? Like just like everybody else in our business, but we really don't. And we get to stand out and get to be ourselves, you know? So
Get to have fun with it. Like it's just like, I don't want to be like a typical business owner. Like I want to have fun and I want to be like quirky and like the things that I love, I want to share that with the world. I have struggled with that for a while of being like, well, I like poetry and I like, weird surreal art and I like pastel colors and like, is it okay to like share all those sides of myself through my business? And I feel like why not? Like that will draw the right type of people to me by really being the authentic, genuine me that I am.
absolutely. Yeah. People will be magnetized to that. Hmm. Love it. All right, so we're going to dive in, and a lot of you are new to my reality, so I want to share this really quick before we dive into these specific questions. So, I am a sex and relationship coach for women, and I'm also an energy practitioner and a belly dance teacher. I love teaching belly dance. And so, what I've really developed over the last 10 years is the Body Bliss programs, the Body Bliss technique of really helping women heal their bodies and heal their sexuality so that they can have body bliss and they can have sexual bliss in their relationships. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And we're going to talk about how, we have been influenced by energy healing and how energy healing and alternative medicine, so to say, has helped the healing of our own sexual energies and how that kind of all ties together. So I'm really excited to have this conversation because 1 out of 4 women that we know of, that's all that's reported, have experienced sexual abuse or trauma. And I just want to say too, we're not going to dive a whole bunch into the trauma piece today, but I just want to say that trauma comes in all different forms. It's not always just rape or molestation. It could be other forms of like, verbal sexual abuse, all types of different things. And so, hopefully this just shares awareness with more women out there, to know that whatever you've experienced, that you can move through it. And there are a lot of great tools that Lauren and I have both learned and that we use, right, to move through those things in our lives. And so that's also part of my intention of these interviews, is to just inspire more women to know there is support, there are tools, and there are ways to be done with trauma. Does not have to live in the body forever. And that's the good news. So, okay, so let's dive in. So the first question I have for you, Lauren, in regards to all of this is, how has energy work and healing changed your body, your sexuality, and your relationships?
Yeah, so much. So much so. I just feel like without it, I think that when I was younger, I used to leave my body a lot.
Mm,
Growing up, I wasn't taught how to really sit with my emotions and to be with my emotions, to be with my feelings, to be with my body. And that's something I've definitely had to learn over the years. As you know, I struggled with alcohol and drug addiction for a long time. I'm now sober. I've been sober for 8.5 years, which
woo,
is just like blows my mind.
amazing.
And I numbed out because that was how it was my medicine at the time. Like that's how I got through a lot of the trauma that I experienced when I was younger, but it also created more trauma. Like it was my medicine, and it was the only thing I knew at the time. But with that, I would, then go on to like sleep around with a lot of different guys, and like not really honor my own boundaries and my own feelings and things. And after getting sober, like that was like a major point in where I was like, oh wow, like I'm holding on to so much that has been so difficult and I haven't wanted to look at.
Mm.
And so that was like the turning point of like allowing me to like, oh, okay, I can be with these feelings, but like I need help also to like learn how to process them out of my body, and it working with you too has been such a gift. I actually took Fiona's healer training course, so I've learned some of the modalities that she teaches, and I apply them in the coaching work that I do, like in a little bit of like the meditation and visualization aspect of really knowing that like our mind is so powerful, and like the feelings in our body, we don't have to hold on to them, and we can let them go consciously. So that's something that has really shifted so much of my life, and like being more present and more like in tune with my own intuition, my own feelings, and being able to be such a more powerful feeling person. Like I feel the good, I feel the bad, I feel the everything. And it's so incredible. Like I used to want to run from that. And now it's like, even the pain, it's like, I know how to handle it better. Which also allows me to have more pleasure. Like I really absolutely love pleasurable things. And that's great, that I can experience them and not be afraid too.
Yeah. Yes. Amen. Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting what you say, because it's true for, I would say, every person I've ever met over the last 10 years in my healing business has had the same thing of what you described, of not being fully, not being comfortable and quote unquote safe to be in the body. That's how we feel when the trauma has not been healed or transformed. And I love that you explain that, because, it's a lot of people will cut that part off, cut the feelings off as a survival tool. And then, but what happens is we don't feel the good stuff. We don't feel the joy and the happiness and the pleasure and the orgasms, right? We just like, we're numb to things in our life that we're meant to experience. And so that's a really great thing to know that you have that now, because I know that it hasn't been easy.
Yeah. And like having the realization that it all comes from within. Like I am the creator of my feelings, and I am basically in control of them. Like like taking ownership and responsibility, and knowing that like, what does truly bring me joy and pleasure, and also having a balance with that of like knowing that I don't need it all of the time too. Like pleasure can also be addicting. It can also be escaping the pain too, and just like having a healthy relationship with all of the feelings, and being in more like consciousness with them.
Absolutely. And I actually want to take this moment to just talk a little bit more about that in business specifically, because I feel like it will create value for people. So we did some of this in my course, but I also want to know how you feel like, if you're in a state of more pleasure, how does that directly affect your money flow in your business?
Yeah, and that's something I'm actually dealing with right now. Like I've kind of shifted into this like um what brings me joy? Like how can I have fun with this? How can I really go into my like sexual creative energy and be playful and like what lights me up in my business, because otherwise I'm just like frustrated, angry, like annoyed, and like trying to like follow someone else's rules. And that doesn't, it's like, it's like I'm more of a magnet when I'm in that power of, this is like, it's a more of an alignment energy, right? And
Mhm.
so, as far as like it, like I can feel myself getting graspy sometimes of like, oh, well, I don't have enough this, or like this isn't happening fast enough, like the timeline thing.
Yeah.
And just redirecting my energy to like, okay, how am I stepping out of my comfort zone? How am I stepping through fear and doing things that like really I feel courageous. I feel that expanded kind of like creative energy. Cause like I know that actually leads to manifestation, where the other one of like shutting down, feeling frustrated, being in like, you know, anger mode isn't going to lead to what I want. So I don't know if that kind of answers what you're looking for, but that's
Mhm.
that's how I I feel like if I align with that more, that's when more things show up.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's great to share because we are programmed as women to do business in a masculine way, right? Unless we've had coaching or alternative forms of information, right? Traditionally, we're trained to work ourselves to the bone, right? Be super tired and drained and exhausted all the time, as if we're working, a crazy job for another company. And it took me about 2 years to get out of that. And when I started my business, the first 2 years of going full time in my business, I still was running on that masculine, the toxic masculine idea of like overdoing, overworking, self-sacrifice type of bullshit, right? And then once I cracked that in my business, it was like I was in alignment, which you were talking about. I was in that flow of, if I need to take a nap in the middle of the day because that's what my body needs, that's what my body needs. And that's going to actually produce more money in my business because I got myself back in alignment energetically, right? And I took care of myself. And I have a saying, and it works every time. Something you all can do is, if you are trying to manifest more clients or business money into your business, right? I always say, go do something very relaxing, like deeply relaxing, where you completely get into your body and you surrender. And then I say to myself while I'm in it, every time I relax, my clients come to me. Every time I relax, my clients come to me. And it happens every time. Like every time I do that and I go on vacation, I'll get like a $10,000 client or a $5,000, whatever. It's like money just comes and they come in. And it's because we get really okay with being in our bodies and really okay with being in our feminine receiving mode, which is a big part of our sexuality energy, right? So, yeah, yeah, it's really fun. And I recommend just everybody, if you want to start attracting more money and clients into your business, just start getting into that energy of like, how can I relax a little bit more today and sit back and receive? Because the universe does want to give us all that we desire.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling you. I had a pool day today. Like I've been working quite a bit and I was like, you know what? I need to celebrate like all the things that I've been doing. So there's this thing called Resort Pass here in LA, and you can like get a day pass for a hotel pool. So I went there with a friend and I was like, we just had so much fun, and I got to lay out in the sun and like things like that, where I'm like, yeah, like this is my life and I want to enjoy it. And another thing too is that just kind of like in that whole like creative sexual energy with business,
Mhm.
something else I did recently was because I love poetry so much, I was like, oh, I want to like offer people a free poem to interact more on social media. So on Instagram, I said, I'm going to write you like whoever wants a poem for something that they're struggling with in their career right now.
I
And
love
so like 4 people gave me topics that they were struggling with. And so I wrote them each a poem, and like they absolutely loved it. They were like, this is so incredible. And like, it things like that really just motivate me and make me feel so happy that like I can do that. And that's also like, that's like marketing, you know, but
Mhm.
it's marketing in like a fun, juicy, you know, creative way, feminine even.
Yes, yes. That's awesome. I love that so much. Yeah, I think that we're really rising into our feminine energy as a planet, and we're being asked to shift the way even we market. And I've seen it with all of the coaches and the healers that are kind of tapped into this new frequency. It's like we realize we don't have to do it the old way anymore. It's about being in our feminine energy, which is magical.
Yeah, the receiving is something I need more practice with too, because it's like I've just been I had a corporate job, like I was go, go, go. Like it is a big shift.
It's a huge shift. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, let's dive into the next question. So, obviously, there are a lot of women out there that have also experienced sexual trauma in their own unique ways. What would you feel like you'd like to share with them if they feel like they're stuck in their sexual trauma? Maybe they've done some things like therapy or different things. What would you recommend for them right now to take that next step out of their trauma?
Yeah. Well, I feel like I do want to share this story because it might be helpful. Like, so back part of the reason I got sober was I had actually just been in a pretty toxic relationship at the time, and that ended. Which I was like using a lot of prescription drugs when I was in this relationship, and I wasn't drinking. And then when the relationship ended, I was like, oh, like maybe I can start drinking and like, let's see how this goes. It went downhill really fast. And I ended up going on this bender. I like met this guy at a bar and he was visiting the Napa Valley. He like stayed for a few days, like staying on a vineyard. And I ended up just like getting drunk the whole time I was with him. We were like, I was having a lot of fun, but um, then I ended up getting pregnant. And he of course had no idea. I mean, he lived somewhere else and I barely even knew him. And I had to have an abortion. And that was like, at that point, I was like, what am I doing to myself? Like, I don't even know this guy. I'm just like hooking up with random people. And like, I'm no place like able to take care of another person, let alone myself. And it was like that instance. And then there was one other major thing that like catapulted me into going to get help, which was for me at the time, like going to my first AA meeting. But after that, like after kind of like starting the cycle of like, oh my God, there's help out there, like realizing that all I needed to do was reach out for help. Like I had been trying to do it all myself for so long and it just wasn't working. Like it kept getting worse and worse and worse and like more pain and more um, trauma, really. So that was like the first realization. I feel like I just want to offer that to anyone to know that there is so much help out there, especially now because we are talking about these things a lot more. I mean, that was like 8 years ago, but there's so much free help out there too. There's a lot of different recovery programs. SLAW is one of them, which is sex and love addiction. I've never been to a meeting, but I've been fascinated. I've been interested in knowing more. But and like there's so many coaches. I actually just my last coach that I hired was a breakup and relationship coach, and we did a lot of inner child work and healing. And there are people out there that really know what they're doing and can walk you through and hold your hand like through all the releasing and like they want to help. So just know that like all it takes is just asking like some person, just to tell some person that you need help, and maybe they'll be able to point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. So powerful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I think it's amazing advice. And I think one of the things too that I want to remind people is that you just have to start somewhere, right? And a lot of times AA or something like that is a really great start for a lot of people. A lot of my clients have come to me after going through AA programs or similar programs like that. And it's like it's given them the solid foundation of sobriety and the support system of sobriety to then do the deeper work. I think it's really hard sometimes just to dive into the deeper trauma work when there's the other things going on, right? Because addiction always a secondary experience for something else. It's a secondary response to pain or trauma or different things, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I love that. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, I think that there are so many things that can help, and you just have to find the right thing or the right things, plural too, that help you
Yeah.
through the process.
Yeah, I mean, I've been really interested. I haven't done it before, but EMDR, like I know that's very effective. I've actually done a lot of online courses where I do hypnosis and journaling.
Mhm.
Um, and there's, a lot of like one-on-one, there's group stuff that you can go to. I've done a lot of Reiki, body work, somatic healing. I mean, obviously I've worked with you too, which has been so effective for just releasing things and like, understanding that really healing can happen in an instant too.
Mhm.
Like sometimes it does take a while, but sometimes it can be instantaneous. And
Yes.
that is so cool.
Yes. Thanks for bringing that up because the number one thing that people often well, we're programmed with this, by the way, is that healing has to be hard. And, everything that I've been trained in and taught, especially with access consciousness work and access bars, is like we can change things in a matter of moments, minutes. If you're ready, it's all a choice. It's all a choice. And when you're ready to make that choice can happen and it can be so much lighter and easier. And it does not have to be reliving the sexual trauma. It could be fully releasing the sexual trauma. And I think that's one misconception about healing that a lot of people have. And they're kind of afraid to dive into the energy work or the hypnosis, subconscious work, because they don't want to go there. And you don't necessarily have to go there, not for very long. It could be a matter of moments to fully release it. And so it's one of the great things that I feel I've learned about this type of work.
Yeah, because it doesn't always have to happen on a conscious level. Like that's the cool thing. It can be like a subconscious, and a lot of times it is like the subconscious shift, and which shifts it completely shifts your perspective.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yay. I love this conversation. So let's go a little more here. So I'm curious so we talked about this earlier, and I wanted to dive a little deeper about the connection between our creativity and our sexuality. So actually, I want to tie this back into, you saying after you were in sobriety, right? And you've been in sobriety, you said for 8.5 years, right? Yeah, that's amazing. So I'd like to know, just to help inspire people, right? At what point in the 8.5 years do you feel like you fully clicked where you thought, oh, my sobriety, my alignment with my higher self, really, right? Your connection to source is enhancing my creativity. Like, when did that connect for you?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I've always had that connection. It's almost like owning it more, like knowing that like it's okay. Like I somehow like finding a way, and this isn't for everyone, but like I like money is important to me.
Mhm.
And I like money. And I like, you know, 3D thing. Like I love, like you can see like this sculpture back here. I love art. Like I like makeup. I like things in this reality, tangible things. And money is one of those things that creates more beauty in my life. And so why not be able to do what I'm good at and what I enjoy and what I want to share with the world and make money doing it? Like, why not? And I had this during, so after I worked at the Fine Art Gallery in Napa for 6 years, there was this point where I was like, all right, I need something more than this. And I felt called to move to LA. I ended up finding a job at the international art book publisher Taschen. So I became the West Coast rep for them. I sold art books up and down the West Coast to museums and bookstores and cute galleries and boutiques like in Seattle and Portland and San Francisco, LA. And I sold like $13 million worth of books during the 6 years that I worked there. And it's just like, it was such a wonderful job because I loved what I did. I got to learn about all these artists and things, but it still wasn't like completely me. And so that was kind of when the first thing I did was health coaching. I did a health coaching certification because I was like, well, I'm really into health and wellness. And like, I got sober. So like, maybe there's something there. And I was thinking of becoming a health coach. So I started doing health coaching. And then I was like, well, I really like the more spiritual and like purpose work, And so then I took your energy healer training. And I kind of applied that. And then I became like an energy healer / health coach. And then I was like, well, I guess I'm a life coach. And then like all the different pieces, I like switched to like self-care coaching. I like couldn't figure out what was like really me. And then in January of last year, I was finally like, oh, I am so good at art, career, and like the mindset work. I should be a career coach for creatives. Like that was when it all clicked of like, this is what I'm here to do. Like not only make art, my own art, but like help people find their voice and align with it and like show up in the most authentic, fun way that they can and like make money doing it. Like that's what I want to do. And I want to share that with other people too. And that was really like, I'm still finding that kind of flowy, like you're talking about like sexual creative energy. But I really do it through my poetry. Of course, like working with my clients, like that is just the most profound, powerful experience. I love working with my clients. I have like musician clients. One of my clients just self-published a book. Another client works in a corporate job and she does digital design. Another one is an illustrator. So like I work with like a wide variety of creatives and it's like, oh, it's so juicy. Like I absolutely love it. But I also still love to draw and to paint and to create and to teach and to meditate and all these things. So it's like, I just kind of like, find a way to like make it all my purpose and like make money doing it.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It's amazing. And it's so amazing too, because I can relate, of course. And also, I feel like when we are in that space of pleasure with creating, right? Pleasure with whatever we're creating in our lives, um, we have a greater energetic impact. So if you've ever been burnt out, right? This is like to anybody out there watching, right? Like if you've ever been burnt out and you're like, oh, I have to make a post on social media. I have to do a Facebook Live. And you do it in that energy of exhaustion and not really wanting to be there, you're going to get less likes and less engagement. It's just the energy, right? Because you're not really wanting to be seen. You're not in that energetic expression fully and completely. And I've learned this with everything in business. It's like, if I'm going to sit down and talk with a client, right, I need to be connected to my source. I need to be in alignment. And these are the tools that I teach, of course, in my trainings, is how to connect to that really quick, even if we're having a hard day or a tired day, right? So as we go there, we have this connection to ourselves and people will receive that. And it's amazing. Like I had a video recently that I posted on social media and I totally was in total allowance of my body. Like I was just like, I'm just going to do this quick little 30-second belly dance video. I literally thought I would get no likes, but I just was in that allowance, right? And that feminine sensual energy we've been talking about. And it got the most views and likes I've ever had. It was like viewed almost 5,000 times within 24 hours. And I was like, wow, I really didn't try very hard with that. And that's what we're talking about. It's being in that space, whatever that is for you. For me, it's dancing and coaching. And for you, it's your art and your different things that you do in your business, your coaching as well. And I just think it's so cool to take a moment, hopefully after watching this, is to think about, right, what gets me in that space? What gets me in that space of complete allowance, complete surrender, but I'm also creating, right? And that could be so many different things for everybody. But I really feel like that's the magic sauce of creating in our lives. And I don't create from the other space anymore. If I do, it just doesn't work. I'm like, people are going to feel that I'm fucking tired and not wanting to be here. Right. So some food for thought.
Yeah, it's like, our thoughts and our feelings create our results. As much as we don't want to like take ownership of our results, like I think taking responsibility for them is everything, because we do have a choice in what we want to align with. And like, yes, sometimes you can feel so heavy, and maybe there's like things that are really triggering you, but knowing that like there are tools out there to help you release them and then choose differently, like choose another way, do the work to like really align with the thoughts and feelings that you want to have, that you want to show up with, and that you want to share with people, because you can do that. It just takes a little bit of slowing down and like recentering and like being aware of what it is that's there and what you can release and what you can realign with.
Yes. I love that. Slowing down. We can all use that reminder. Slow down, get back into alignment before we create. Yes. Magic sauce. Okay, great. So before we end today, I just wanted to check in, and are there any other lasting thoughts, things that you'd like to share that relate to any of this today for you?
I mean, really, like anything's possible, and those little insights that you get, like when you're taking a shower or when you're on a walk or when you're doing the dishes, those little like whispers in your ear of like, oh, maybe I should, write that book, or like, maybe I should like take that class, or like, maybe I should contact that person. Listen to them, listen to them and take action on them like that. Why not? Like, why hold yourself back from that distance with those special messages? They're there for a reason, and they're going to continue to show up. So acknowledging them and like taking action on them, I think is so, so great. And like, really, I think the most manifestation things manifest when you step through fear, knowing that like, yeah, it's great to be comfortable. I think that's really powerful as well. Feeling comfort in your body and your nervous system, but also like pushing yourself outside your comfort zone so that you can create things that like are outside of the box, like, like something even beyond what you thought was possible. So that's kind of just like my last little words of advice, follow those pings and also step outside your comfort zone, especially when it comes to asking for help.
I love that so much. Thank you for sharing those tips. I think those are all incredibly valuable. And it's also real life advice. It's like I've hired career coaches in the past as well. And I wish they would have said exactly what you just said right now. Like 10 years ago, that could have been perfect, Lauren. So thank you. Yes. So valuable. Awesome. Well, yeah, I love this conversation. Thank you so much for being here and for being you. I really want to acknowledge you and what you've been through, your sobriety, your trauma, right? You starting your own business to inspire others to start their own businesses and do what they love from that creative magic sauce, right? I love that so much. And so, yeah, I just want to honor you. Thank you for doing that. And we'll definitely include Lauren's contact information. You can check out her website and her social media. I'll put it below. And yeah, and then before we end as well, I want to just remind everybody that I am also launching a really specialty course that's about everything that we've been talking about tonight. It's called Find Your Sexual Bliss. And this is actually something that I channeled from Source this year. It's going to be launching on September 12th, and I would love for you to check it out. You can go to my website and check it out. I'll put the links below too. This is going to be a deep dive group course where we dive into releasing those last pieces of sexual trauma and also reclaiming our bodies, right? Reclaiming our pleasure, our joy, our bliss, our orgasms, so that we can have these blissful sexual relationships. And it is going to be tailored for women only because I want to work specifically with the female body hormone system. We're going to talk about aphrodisiacs. We're going to talk about yoni eggs and how to use yoni eggs for yoni healing, sexual healing, and also strengthening the pelvic floor. It's going to be really juicy and really amazing. So I'm super excited because, like I said, I channeled this and I feel like a lot of women need this work right now for different reasons, right? So that we can heal our bodies and we can heal our relationships and not look at sex as a chore or look at sex as an obligation. Like I hate that thing that people joke about, like, oh, honey, I have a headache. Like, no, it's like, I wish it was the other way around. It's like, honey, let's fuck, like, let's have sex. Like, I'm turned on, I'm tapped in, like my body, it's like sex and relationships is meant to be very exciting and we're meant to be turned on more of the time. And it's part of who we are. It's our sexual divine energy. And so we're going to tap into all of that in this course. And I'm going to be hosting a series of workshops leading up to that. So I'll put all of that stuff on my website and you can check that out below. And please feel free to just share this video with any woman that you feel like needs some of this information. I mean, we had so many great tips and things that we talked about today. And if you know somebody who feels stuck in their sexual energy or in their creativity, have them reach out. Lauren will help you with your creative energy in your business and help move out of your stuckness. So please feel free to share. And thank you so much.
Yes, I just wanted to thank you so much too. I'm so grateful for you and the work that you do. And you've really impacted my own business as well, my personal life and my business in such a powerful way. And I just feel so grateful for you. And like this type of work needs to be here on the planet and being shared with the world. So I'm so grateful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for receiving it. You received it.
Yep.
Yay. All right. Well, have a great night. Thank you for watching, everybody. And thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.